Good evening, Ninath, Shiva, Sridhar, Madhu, Nitin, and my dear participants. I welcome you all to this webinar, the third in series on brave new word of startups. Are you game? As you all know, the world is passing through a very challenging time. Virtually the entire world is in lockdown condition. The economy has virtually come to a standstill. But in this new world also post Corona or during Corona, we have started seeing new technologies. Microsoft recently announced that they exceeded their targets in the month of April. We have started seeing new technology, new processes being adopted. Work from home has become a culture in most of the organizations. And going forward, also, a lot of organizations are thinking, okay, why do we need to hire office space? Employees can work from home. Even in the field of education, education has primarily been face to face. You go to classroom, attend classes. Even in engineering colleges and all, in our time, the focus was 80% time on on the classroom training and 20% on lab or project work, which has changed during a period of time with a lot of online courses. But in school still, it is basically a face-to-face teaching. Now in this post-corona, during corona, my granddaughter, who is just 5.5 years old, the school is shut down for more than a month. The teachers have started online. They teach online, give assignments, check assignments. I'm talking about 5.5 year old. So you can see how this challenge has COVID-19 is bringing change in technologies, the way we are working. While it has impacted, it is impacting the economy in a big way, especially the unskilled, semi-skilled workers. But when you look at engineers like you, it offers plethora of opportunities for you. We have seen the last 1 decade adoption of automation technologies. Digital transformation is taking place in a big way in India. But with this post-corona, we call it AC, after corona, before corona, after corona, the meaning of BC and AC has now changed. So 2020 has become the zero line. And we will see a lot of opportunities coming in technology, especially for young alumni, for students who are just passing out or will pass out next year or so. The adoption of digital technology and automation. We have seen in the current scenario, the automated world that we are seeing in the last 1 decade, autonomous car, high-speed trains, hyperloops, drones for military and non-military applications, and healthcare, developing vaccine based on DNA or RNA. Now, behind all these applications, there is a plethora of new age technologies, computing technologies like robotics, industrial automation, machine learning, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, artificial, VR, AR, edge computing, blockchain, we talk about IoT, data science, and tools like Python, Julia that helps in fast prototyping. So before I hand over the mic to Shiva to take forward the proceedings for this webinar, some guidelines and discipline. Currently, I have put you all in mute mode. Request you, except the speakers, to keep in the mute mode all the time. And after presentation by Ninath, there will be question answers. You can post your questions on the chat box. And if you have time, you can unmute yourself and you can ask question. Kindly keep your phone, mobile in the silent mute mode. In case you get a call in between on your mobile, kindly log off from this event and attend to the call. So with this, I am handing over the mic to Shiva to take forward the proceedings. So over to you, Shiva.
Thank you, Sunil. Good evening, everyone. It's my privilege really today to introduce our speaker for the day, Ninad Karpe. He really needs no introduction, but having got this opportunity, I really want to talk about him. As you all know, he's a partner at 100X, which is a venture capitalist firm, and they invest in early stage startups. Ninad comes with a very impressive background, having been associated with Computer Associates and was also a director of AppTech, where he was the MD and CEO for more than 7 years till about 2016. And he was also the head of CII, the Confederation of Indian Industries, for Bombay and Maharashtra, and of course the Western region. And during his career, he has worked as a consultant, advising companies seeking to invest in India. He's also a frequent writer and a regular at TEDx events. I'll have to cut down on his accomplishments because we have to give Ninad time, of course. So, but among his various accomplishments are, Sunil briefly spoke about his authoring a business book titled Bond to Baba. So that's James Bond to Ramdev Baba. And he's achieved the impossible feat of conveying in a very easy to read and understand language some very strong business fundamentals. And this has got really rave reviews from very discerning business leaders. And in fact, Amazon, in its prestigious list of memorable books of 2018, had mentioned this book, Bound to Baba. As chairman of the Maharashtra and Western region of CII, Ninad, who's very passionate about education, has started an essay competition called the India We Want for students in schools and colleges. And not only is it extremely popular with the youth, but it's also a crucible for new and innovative ideas. If you think that's all about Ninad, well, no. I want to add a couple of more lines about him. He's a true jet setter and leads by example when it comes to sartorial excellence. And you're going to love this bit. He's an excellent chef. So much so that when Sanjeev Kapoor met him, he did what is called, if you can't beat them, join them. And now Ninad is on the board of Sanjeev Kapoor's company, SK Restaurants. He's also on the board of various other listed companies, including IDBI Bank and so on. Well, here's something really interesting about Ninad. He's also very passionate about supporting theatre and has co-produced 2 Marathi plays, which have received very wide acclaim. And of course, during F1 season, he switches off his mobile phone so that he can follow all those fast-paced cars. And today, Ninad is going to talk to us about the brave new world of startups. Are you ready? As many of you will remember, it was in 1931 that Aldous Huxley came out with this book, The Brave New World. It was just around the time of the Great Depression. The situation looks very similar today. And over to you, Ninad, for helping us find our way through this, especially with respect to startups. Thank you very much. Over to Ninad.
Just Ninad, we have 63 participants now who are on this call.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you all of you for inviting me. I'm delighted to share my thoughts. I have a presentation, so let me try and get the presentation up and going, and then I will start our conversation. Sunil, can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, again, thank you so much. I am truly delighted to do this webinar. This is some event like this would make my mother proud, saying that you are going to speak to alumni and graduates of IIT BHU. It's such a wonderful institution. It's historic. It's got a lot of legacy, probably the best in India and across the world. So today, in the next 20 minutes or so, I'll try and speak about the world of startups. And the title of my presentation is very simple. Are you game? And if you are, I'll move on to the next slide. But if you're not, You can drop off and have your cappuccino on the side and enjoy the evening and the sunset. But if you do that, you'll miss out on a great opportunity. The title of my talk, Brave New World, as was spoken in my introduction, and thank you for those kind words of introduction. I am truly humbled by those words, is a book by Aldous Huxley. It was set in 1931-32 time frame. It is a dystopian novel, but I have only borrowed the title. I have not borrowed the theme from the book. This presentation is not dystopian. This book actually, interestingly, got a lot of rave reviews and has been ranked number 5 by the Model Library in the best English novels of the 20th century. So yes, it's quite a path-breaking novel, but I have just borrowed the title of this book, not the theme. This gentleman that you see on your screen is Kevin Plank. Now, who is Kevin Plank? I'm going to give examples of some companies in the US specifically because maybe you've not heard of those companies. I'm not going to talk about Flipkarts and all the companies from India. Kevin Plank was the founder of a company called Under Armour. Kevin Plank was a football player in his University of Maryland. And what he realized that he was getting fed up, in fact, tired of carrying a huge bag full of his sweaty t-shirts after the game, sweaty undershirts. And there was no other way out because all these cotton undershirts were huge. You had to change 7-8 times. This is American football, not soccer. And he was a fullback. He's playing the fullback position in American football. He was wondering, is there a solution to this problem of carrying so many shirts, so many undershirts? And he came out with a unique material which was absorbent, sweat absorbent, and could help. Thereby, you could carry just one T-shirt and get on with the game. Because he had friends in the league, he made that T-shirt and showed it to his friends. They all loved it, and therein started the story of Under Armour. He started the company Under Armour, and at one point of time, and this should be an inspiration for some of his startup founders, he did not even have money to pay for a toll. He had $2 toll to be paid, and he told the lady at the counter, I'm a startup founder. Sorry, I don't have money. Can you please let me through? And he was let through. Today, Under Armour has revenues of exceeding $5 billion, $5.7 billion. It's a leading brand of undershirts and various other accessories. So this will give an inspiration of how startup founders start with a very simple idea. What was the idea? To ensure that we do not have to carry a bag full of sweaty undershirts after a game, just one undershirt. And that's how Under Armour is today a $5.7 billion company. He hasn't solved a huge problem, but he solved a problem which was really, really required to be solved. It's not a big problem, but a simple problem. And that problem has led to a $5.7 billion company. Let me talk about today's scenario. It's unprecedented, and I think all of us should salute all the health workers and essential services workers who are out there keeping the cities going and keeping the hospitals going. So there are 3 possible scenarios as you see on the screen. Vaccine within 12 months. There is a lot of talk about how they're fast tracking the entire life cycle of a vaccine, which normally takes years, and they're hoping to do it within months. The other option, scenario 2 is we have natural immunity in 2 years. And scenario 3 is there's no clear endpoint. There's a new normal. I won't subscribe to scenario 3, and hopefully we should see scenario 1 happening soon. But yes, these are tough times. These are unprecedented times. We have never seen a pandemic before, at least in my lifetime. And we have to figure out how to live with it. But what is it that is required for a startup at this point of time? What is the one single quality you as a startup founder have to thrive and grow and survive in this scenario? And the single most quality is resilience. Before pre-COVID, one used to always talk about a startup founder having a killer instinct, having a growth mindset, startup founder saying that she or he wants to conquer the world, agility, have to be driven. All that is history now. Now, one single quality which is required is resilience. You have to figure out how to survive and thrive in the world and, in fact, change the world. And if you have to look at some inspiration of whom to look at in these times, don't look at the flower petal, look at the ant on top of the flower petal. An ant is a very interesting insect. It never quits. Try stopping an ant, it will go around, it will go below, it will go above, but it will go to its destination. It never gives up. As a founder, you should never give up. You have to find out a way out of the current problem. Whenever you face a problem, a true good founder will always find a way out. And always thinks winter all through the summer. So it plans for the winter. When it's summer, it keeps hoarding foodstuff for the winter. When it's winter, it goes in hiding. And when there's sunlight, it comes out. And then again, it thinks of the winter. So keep thinking of the next step. So there's one inspiration, one insect which you need to figure out in terms of qualities. It is the ant. So how do you start? All this is fine. Sunil will tell me, Nina, ये सब ठीक है. Well, how do you start? I'm interested in being a startup founder. What are the basic things you should do? You have to question assumptions. Develop the habit of solving complex problem in a simple way. Be curious. Ask questions. People like design, simple design. People are a sucker to buy good, attractive designs. Apple is, of course, one example. But there's so many good examples of a product which has come out with, say, good design. So question assumptions, be curious, ask. Ideas are fragile. Fragile ideas need to be nurtured. It could be a co-founder, it could be a mentor, it could be people like us, startup people who fund startups. But they are fragile, they need to be nurtured. Even a small innovation can move the needle. No innovation is big or small. It can move the needle. You have to think through it. And incremental days are over for a startup. You have to do something which is revolutionary, which can really do something big. And don't make the mistake of thinking that if you get some limited funds, that is success. It is really the starting point. Getting funded is not success. That's just the beginning. You have to focus on performance and execution. So here it is. Life is a pitch. And on the right-hand side, if I have written it thrice, it's not a mistake, it's deliberate. If you are a startup founder, every day you have to remember life is a pitch. You have to keep improving your pitch. You have to make it once, make it twice, make it 100 times, 200 times, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Every day you have to keep refining it. There is a saying that if you're in the corporate sector, you have to keep refining your CV every week, every month, every quarter. Again, if you're a startup founder, life is a pitch. Always be ready for a pitch. And this is a real life example of a founder who had come to me and was starting to pitch. So I always in my mind have 3 so whats from the moment a founder starts pitching. If at the third so what I do not get a response, I'm switched off. And I'm not unique. All VCs have a patience of a maximum 3 so whats. The founder started by saying, my vision is I want to solve all the problems of the world through technology. It's great and wonderful, but as a VC wanting to fund, so what? As a pitch you're presenting, so what? Then the second statement the founder made is my vision is I want to ensure that I save the planet for my next generation. Great, it's absolutely required. All of us must work towards it. But here you're making a pitch for a business idea for raising funds. So the second question was, so what? So I'm on the last and the third question of so what. If that time it is not answered, that is it. It's history. I've given 3 chances and the person hasn't responded. And finally, fortunately for that person, he said, my vision is I want to build palm-sized solar panels which have the functionality of a large panel. Aha, I said, here you are. So remember, you have the first 60 seconds to grab the attention of the person you're pitching to. This is a very, very different world. You do not have the luxury of a 2-hour presentation to grab the attention of someone you're pitching to. First 60 seconds, if you are not able to answer in the third so what you're doing, you have lost the battle. And this is what now a lot of people keep asking, what do traditionally VCs look for? So you can accordingly figure out how, if you're starting a startup, what do VCs look for, and you can tailor make your presentation or figure out how to ensure that these questions are responded in the first place itself. The first thing we see is a founding team. You are all from IIT BHU. That's a great, great institution. It's the best in India, if not the world. So flaunt it. Start itself by saying, I am Sunil Khanna. I am from IIT BHU. Great start. Then when you talk about the product, it has to be a large market size. No one is interested in a very small, tiny size, market size of a product. It might be good, it might be niche, but that doesn't help in the funding model. What is a business model? Is it scalable? Is it without friction? No one likes a model which requires a lot of human intervention, which does not have technology and has a lot of friction. It has to be a friction-free, technology-based, ideally scalable model which can just keep scaling. And what is the unfair advantage you have either in the idea, first mover advantage, technology, R&D? What is the moat you have between you and the rest of the world? And remember, ultimately, all this VC is looking for, at the end of all this, will I get a minimum of 20x returns? Yes, you heard right, minimum of 20x returns. That's what early stage VC looks at. And what sets you apart? You have to have something which says that sets you apart. Pricing is a science. It's not an art. Really, you have to figure out how to price your products appropriately. What is your business model to scale? Do you require growth capital, or are you able to generate profits inherently? VCs love models which require growth capital, because that means the business is growing fast. What value are you creating? And at the end of this, are you building business for yourself and your family? Are you building a business just for fun? Or are you building a business whereby VCs and you at the end of it see an exit? This is not a game of income generation. This is a game of wealth generation. Are you creating wealth? Then you're on. Are you creating income? You're definitely not in the game. So you need to think through all what you're doing. Now let me speak a little bit about what has now changed, and then I'll talk later on of the opportunities around it. All of us know the business world has changed forever. It's not going to be the same anymore. We will get back to normal at some point of time, hopefully soon, keep fingers crossed. But even if we get back to normal, the business world and some of the rules and habits would have changed forever. Firstly, there is enormous focus now, and there will continue to be, on employee health. We had seen, many years back, around 15 years back, the whole emphasis on security in the company. And now you'll start seeing focus on health, whether it's health monitoring, whether it's social distancing in terms of the way you sit, all of it, all of the above. You will see an enormous focus on health and hygiene in the company itself, not just the person, and a huge shift to digital. The very fact that we're having this webinar shows that all of you folks are quickly embracing the new world of digital, new models of communication and collaboration with a lot of security. Everything will be through communication, and collaboration will be online. So new tools which will help to ensure that your work can happen efficiently online will be critical and important. And work from home is now a mainstay. It is part of a main reality. It is not something, a passing fad, but it will here to stay. It is becoming mainstream. It will become mainstream. My belief is even after we have a normalcy, it will continue to remain mainstream. And I had said this in an article much before TCS announced. My article is called "Your Show Must Go Online," and I had mentioned this that it will become mainstream. I had also mentioned that all decision making will become decentralized, and I had said that probably we won't have head offices now. Long live head offices. Head offices will be dead. They'll turn to museums. That may not happen, but certainly the trend is towards people working from home. Interestingly, TCS announced that by 2025, they'll have only 25% of the 4.5 lakh people, employees working from office. So they call it 25-25. That's a staggering number. And all of us know that whatever TCS says, they implement, they execute. So TCS has shown the way that if they have 4.5 lakh employees, only 25% will come to office. So the bottom line is work from home is mainstream. If it can happen, work from home, obviously there are certain activities which cannot happen like manufacturing and other activities. But if you can really work from home, it will be far more productive and you will work from home. So this is now the new reality, and that will lead to a lot of lifestyle changes. And at a personal level, every person will again focus on personal health and hygiene. Travel will reduce dramatically. Earlier people used to travel a lot. That will go down dramatically, and there'll be huge change in consumption patterns. I'll speak a little bit more about consumption patterns on the next slide. So this is the brave new world we are looking at. So what is your go-to market if you have already got a startup, or if you're thinking of a startup or planning to have one? Online is the way to go. So if you have a distribution model, let's say you're doing a product, let's say a non-alcoholic beer, which was based on distribution in various stores. Suddenly you find that you don't have all the stores and the distribution model. You have to pivot to a pure online model. So if you're offline, you have to pivot to online. If you're online from the beginning, you have to make it far more robust. The new economy is B2H, business to home economy. Today, more than 91% of the world's population is sitting at home and working from home or living at home. This is so unique. And it will lead to a very different way of consumption. Everything a person wants is to be consumed at home, whether it's food, data, entertainment, collaboration tools, work. So whatever you're thinking of, you have to now cater to this new B2H economy, where you have a business model which caters and delivers products and services to a consumer sitting at home. In fact, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Never again you will ever have a situation where almost an entire set of consumers is sitting at home. You can target these consumers easily. You can have your products according to their specification. You can build a subscription model. It is getting very popular in India. It started in the US, and a lot of people have subscription models. In India, it's starting to get popular. But you cannot have a subscription model which have an existing model on top of which you build a subscription model. You have to start it from scratch. So all these are new models catering to a new economy, which is a B2H economy. And you have to start owning the customer now. If at all, you can have some of the e-commerce platforms of partial distribution, but owning a customer from from acquiring right to satisfaction and and handling customer issues, the entire customer journey ideally should be owned by you. And it is possible today. Today, a lot of companies are using are owning the entire chain by cutting out all the middlemen. And by that, they're able to give products at a better price to the end consumers. They're able to interact with the consumers. They're able to have micro influencers talk to these consumers. And it is possible to build an entire product line and a service line where you own the customer level. Let me give an example of a company in US. It's called Casper, C-A-S-P-E-R. They started with the theory that going to a shop and buying a mattress is very, very painful. So they started with the concept of mattress in a box. So you don't have to go to a shop and look at the various mattresses. You bought an apartment or rented an apartment, just order a Casper mattress and it gets delivered to you in a box. It's the world's best mattress, they claim, and it's simple, no decision making. And with this concept of acquiring customer and delivering to customer direct without a distribution model, they really did well. Within the first 2 years itself, they clocked revenues of close to $100 million. So what are the broad opportunities after all this? Digital services. India has close to 65 million small, micro, medium-sized enterprises, family-owned businesses, non-family-owned businesses, 65 million. Most of these people have been rather slow in adopting to digital platform. They have no choice now. They're all realizing that now they need to embrace digital. And there's a whole lot of digital services which you can provide to 65 million enterprises, whether it's hardware, software, apps, acquiring customers, payment services, entire range. It's the biggest market for digital services anywhere in the world. With all communication, collaboration going online, more and more need will arise for efficiency in all these tools, more secure tools, more efficient tools. How do we have project management of large projects happening where people don't meet? People are communicating online. And what are the tools required for that? So all of this will require a huge demand. And there will be a huge demand. And of course, online education. All of you know, education industry and education sector has been slow in adopting to the online method because traditionally it's been the classroom. Traditionally, students have gone to the classroom. Online education and EdTech has a great future. Technology in the education sector has been on the periphery, more as an ERP, more as and the admin of the university or the college or the school. It will now get into the center where teachers have no choice but to embrace technology, and students and parents will consume education through tech models. So these are the broad three models. And if you're looking for specific industries, potential areas, this is one of the questions asked to me in advance. What are the potential areas? You're young students from IIT BHU and you've got the best brains in the world, but here there are 6 broad areas. Health tech will be big, whether it's health, hygiene, immunity building, medicines, Ayurvedic, health and well-being will become important. Not just physical, but social, yoga, meditation, all of the above to be delivered to a consumer sitting at home. SaaS business applications will always be in demand. Indian companies, there are some of them which have done very well on the global field. But I think here, being IIT engineers, you have a great opportunity to build some global SaaS business applications. Deep tech and AI, again, everything is going to go the AI route. Whether it's financial services or all of any industry, they all become, go towards AI. Agri-tech is something which has not seen as much investment and as much focus. That's the next big industry. In financial services, I would bet on neobanks. These are financial companies based entirely on technology, friction-free, no human contact, and obviously EdTech. So these are broad 6 areas which are all weather companies. It's not something which are just because of post-COVID. It is not just next 3 months. These are companies which are there to last for a long time. So you have to build companies which are in tune with the present reality and they last for a long period of time. And these are some broad indicators. Let me slowly wind down my presentation by this quote. This is a quote by Sir Winston Churchill. Never waste a good crisis. There's a huge crisis in front of us. There's a huge pandemic, and there's a huge amount of problems you're facing, but don't waste a good crisis. Think of something different. Think of something new. Remember, companies like Google and Amazon were born during a crisis, the crisis of 1980s, 90s. During each of these crises, some huge global companies were born. And I'm hoping and praying Now this crisis is upon us. A large global company is formed in India by someone from IIT BHU. This is not a Photoshop. This is a true picture of a student. It's a long story. I'll make it in exactly 60 seconds. I was in Vietnam. This is a place which is around 100 miles away from Vietnam, very small town. This student, when I was in AppTech, was studying animation in a very small center. And as you can see, he has Jesus written on his T-shirt. He's a creative person, so obviously he wasn't interested in speaking to me, but I was. You can look at his face; it's rather glum. After a couple of attempts, I asked him, "What is your name?" So he gave me his name, Victor NG, and I asked him, "Why have you written the words Jesus on your T-shirt?" And these are the words he said, and it resonates in my mind even now. He said, "I want to be the world's best animator, the world's best animator." I asked him, "Really?" He said, "Yes, I don't require anything. I just require a pipe, which means connectivity, and I require a mind without borders." So this is a boy who's 100 miles away from the main city in Vietnam. It's a small town, and he's thinking of becoming the world's best. All of you are from IIT BHU. There's nothing which stops you from becoming the world's best in the chosen field. So let me stop here with my presentation. I think I have overshot a little bit, but these are my contact details. I'm available on LinkedIn. You can always reach out to me. Let me wind up by saying that these are tough times, but these are times if you want to do a startup, you have to figure out what's the right startup. You have to figure out all-weather startup. I've given some broad areas in which you need to look at, but I can only say that during all such tough times, global leaders emerge, and I hope one of you become a global leader. Thank you, Sunil. Over to you.
Thank you, Ninad. Over to Sridhar, Narayan for question answer, and Sunil.
Thanks, Sunil. Nina, that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for sharing your learnings with us. In fact, the one of all the slides, the one that is likely to stay with me the most is the one about the ant. Very often we look for larger than life heroes, but nature finds amazing places to show resilience and true leadership. And what better example than an ant which is constantly preparing for winter. We've got a lot of questions, Ninad, and as you can imagine, in today's context where we are going through a once in 100-year event, there is considerable anxiety among young students who are coming out of the institute, who are contemplating startups or who are already in startups. And I think a common theme that runs across all of these questions is a bit of crystal ball gazing, which is the pandemic is here upon us. It's affected all parts of the world. What sort of timelines should one look at for any kind of normalcy to return? And a related question is, and I think you've already answered that in part, is the normal world that emerges at the other end going to be very different from the world that we've been used to? Or should we just prepare ourselves for a world that's just going to be different in many ways from what we've been used to? So a bit of crystal ball grazing, if you can do that.
Sure.
Please.
So the new normal is going to be different, social distancing, health, hygiene, work from home. I touched upon all of this. Yes, you have to be ready for it. A lot of these things are mainstream, so we have to be ready for it. How much time will it take? It's all depends upon science. Until we have vaccines, it will not become 100% normal. Till that point, we have to figure a way out to get going with life in some shape or form. And that's how slowly the opening has started. We started opening the economy. But, on the most optimistic side, people are talking about a vaccine by October. Let's hope and pray it happens by then. If not, middle of next year is, obviously the time frame they're looking at. So this is the time which is there to become 100% normal.
Right. And if you let's say take those 2 points where we are today and the point where things start to return to normalcy, that path from here to there is likely to go this way. It's unlikely to be a straight, smooth line. In this situation where things keep going up and down, we maybe have multiple waves of the infection. We may have a vaccine, may not have a vaccine, may have a vaccine with some time delays. What does that mean for startups who are looking to raise financing? Is the venture capital industry still buoyant in terms of providing capital for ideas? Or do you see a lot of VCs pulling back and saying, we don't know what path this is going to take. Let's shore up some of our resources and see what happens 6 months down the line. Do you see VCs pulling back at this stage, or are they still as enthusiastic about? And mind you, this has all happened in a context where 6 months before the COVID crisis broke out, we were in a situation where some of the world's most successful firms like WeWork had their own share of debacles. And the entire SoftBank portfolio was under question whether those are sustainable businesses or not. How do you see VCs changing their thinking in this environment?
Well, Sridhar, the good news is that in the early stage, there is still a lot of capital chasing talent. If you are in Series A, Series B, obviously at that point, VCs are, let's say, Series B, Series C. VCs are saying, let us nurture our existing investment before looking at fresh investment. But obviously, the students will be in early stage. Early stage, there's no problem at all. There was a lull when March suddenly it hit us, and people are wondering what's happening. But now the activity is back to normal. Just to give an example, and it's not a commercial for 100x.vc where I work, but we have already started looking at a next round of investment, and class 2 is open. And not just us, there are various people at early stage. So bottom line is early stage investment, no problem at all.
Oh, that's really encouraging, Ninad. I'm sure a lot of young students who are at that stage of their startup journey today, that's going to be very encouraging for them. When you look at the VC space in India, there are, of course, a lot of foreign VCs which invest, but there also seems to be a very vibrant and growing domestic VC space. Um, do you see a lot more capital coming from family offices and high net worth individuals in India? Do you see that ecosystem develop here, just as it developed, let's say, in Silicon Valley and created a very vibrant ecosystem there? Do you see that taking shape in India?
I think ironically, this crisis will lead to a lot of acceleration in that change of family offices looking at what we call alternate investment. Earlier, they always felt that, oh, you know what, the public markets are giving us so much return. Why do we have to look at it? The AMC market, the mutual fund market is giving steady returns. And I used to always tell them, portion of your investment has to be set aside for alternate investment, which is basically startup. And strangely, because of all these issues which are happening, the wealth is still there of these family offices. They will now look at alternate investment or startups more actively. So I'm more optimistic.
That's good. One of the questions we've had is on specifically on a sector, which is the educational technology sector, the EdTech sector. And you briefly touched upon this in your talk. That seems to be a sector which has, in some ways, been very positively affected by this whole lockdown. We're seeing multiple models emerge. And do you see uh, a serious disruption happening there through the course of this lockdown, and business models emerging like Byju's or Unacademy are examples which already had scaled, but do you see other models emerging here, maybe even at the tertiary education level, not just at the primary and secondary levels?
So across all levels, online
Yeah.
consumption of content and education is now mainstream. Let's assume everything goes back to normal, 100%. This will still remain mainstream now. So those habits will not be 100%. They will change, go back to the old style. What will happen probably is some hybrid model may evolve of online being the core, and the balance being through offline model. I have recently written an article called Geography is History, where I have actually said this, that geography has now become history because if you want to have some education, you may not need to spend so much time in a remote location. Maybe need to spend just a limited amount of time. Balance can be through online education. So things will change permanently.
And Ninad, is this, if one Googles for this article, is it easy to find?
It's on my LinkedIn. I write
It's on
every
your
10.
link. Okay.
So on my LinkedIn profile, if the article section, you'll find it. They are published in Business World, but it's on my LinkedIn as well. Would love your comments, Sridhar.
Sure, sure. Thanks. Another related question on financing. As you can imagine, a lot of participants on this call are nervous about the financing environment. Venture debt. Now, that had started to take shape in India. We've seen some venture debt providers starting to grow. Is that market in a similar situation as the equity capital investing market is? Are they continuing to be buoyant about the opportunities in India, or do you see some difference there?
So venture debt, in India has evolved, not to the level of Silicon Valley, where it's fairly very evolved, and it is still, I would not say nascent, but little beyond nascent stage. Yes, they have different parameters. So for them, it's a little more guarded, may I say, not necessarily stopping anything, but a little more guarded now in their the way they're going to deploy their funds. It is still on, but it's an opportunity which is still there.
Okay. Okay. I think there are a couple of questions which are more to do with any business, not just a startup, but even a mature business, and certainly in the case of a startup, it operates within an ecosystem. That ecosystem has many other stakeholders. It could be vendors, it could be regulators, it could be suppliers, it could be logistics providers. Now, given that the lockdown seems to have affected everyone in a fairly uniform way, do you see some parts of this ecosystem just getting permanently impaired, which could then have an effect on startups? And a related question, which is a more specific one that's come, is to do with market research. How does a startup go and assess market demand in a situation like this where mobility is so limited and human contact is so limited?
So, responding the first one, unfortunately, we will see some companies going belly up, and they have been talking about support from the government. It's different in countries in Europe. Governments have supported almost 70-80% of salaries of employees and all. I'm sure something will come up in India, but it's a process. Some will not be able to take the financial strain, and we will see some defaults. And whenever one company defaults, it has a ripple effect on the vendors and other things. So we need to be prepared to some level of default. And the only way to do it is I have a rule which I call the 3C rule: conserve cash, cut costs, and collect receivables. Just focus on these three for the next 6 months, 1 year, the 3C rule, and you should be fine. You would be fine. Talking about market research, startups typically don't have the luxury of detailed market research. If you're in a startup, you have an idea, you have to nurture it, speak to people, develop a product, a prototype, and get going. One of the questions which was asked was, in the written one was, do I wait for some time? Do I wait till I graduate? The answer is no. You have a product ready, app ready, just launch it and see how it goes. If you get good response, you can always develop it further.
Okay, we've got two other quick questions, and then maybe we can, I'll hand over the mic to Sunil. A lot of the startups we've seen in Anath have really been in new age tech businesses, which are all tech enabled, data science and artificial intelligence enabled. What about the manufacturing sector? In your experience, have you seen young graduates take to the manufacturing sector, the core manufacturing sectors, and come up with innovative ideas there?
So they do. They are normally in the periphery, not in the main part, because by definition, if you want to do an innovation in the manufacturing sector, you really require a lot of capital. And there, actually, the model of corporate venture funds, corporate venture capital, which has just started in India, is very critical to support manufacturing ideas. I have seen some ideas, but they are more on the periphery. The one place where a lot of ideas kept coming is mobility. But yes, on pure manufacturing, I have seen some more on the periphery. So that's how it is at this point of time.
Okay, one last question before I hand it back, which is on valuations. And this is as much an art as it is a science. How do VCs value startups? And if you can answer that, Ninad, it's going to be nothing short of a miracle.
Sridhar, you've kept the best for the last. VCs see value now, not valuations. If you have value in a company, valuations will follow. If not the other way around. Earlier it was you have to have valuation and then money will follow. It's the rules of the game have changed a little bit. There's no clear answer to it. You need to have a great product and valuations will follow. Let me take the liberty of just responding to one question, which I found was very interesting. It had come in my written questions. And they asked, what are the top 5 mistakes a startup do? And if you don't mind, I'll respond to this. Because I thought it was very interesting. Number one, ones which I have experienced is don't fall in love with your product. You should be passionate about it. But if someone is pointing out some flaws, some changes, some pivots to be required, you need to do it. Don't fall in love, but not with your product. Fall in love with the real person. Number 2 is getting funded does not mean success. This is the starting point of it. Be ready for the pitch. Life is a pitch, I had mentioned, and be ready for pitch and presentation at any time. Be prepared. Don't give away too much equity. I've come across early stage people who have given away 20% to a mentor. You're not fundable at all. Just hold your equity to your dear body. Absolutely very, very critical. If you start giving your equity to friends and friends, neighbors and mentors, you will really not be able to raise funds. And last but not the least, execute, execute, execute. It's all about performance. I just thought I will talk about this because this is a question which had come in writing. Thank you, Sridhar, and thank you,
Thanks, Ninad.
thank you everyone.
Ninad, there is one more question and very relevant. That new norms on, this is from Ravi, work from home. Will it lead to redistribution of demand, that workforce moving from tier 1 cities to tier 2, tier 3 cities, and redistribution of business? So do you think it opens up opportunity in smaller towns and other areas? Because you can work when it's work from home, you can work from anywhere.
Well, it does. Let me give you an example. Suppose I have products which I'm targeting to a person like Sunil Khanna, a male of his age, everything. Pre-COVID, I had to figure out where he is. Half the day is traveling abroad in, all over the world, in office. Today, I know Sunil Khanna is sitting at home. So I need to just figure out how to market my products to Mr. Khanna at home. So that's very, if you can figure out a model, it's the way to market. Yes, a similar thing will happen to tier 2 cities. Let's take the example of TCS. When they allow this, we'll have a lot of people working from their home in tier 2 cities and not coming to places like Bombay and paying huge amount of rents. So yes, it will lead to redistribution of work and redistribution of consumption.
So thank you, Ninad. Thank you, Sridhar. With this, we come to the end of question answer, and over to Madhu. Madhu, you have to unmute. Madhu. Unmute. Madhu, Madhu.
You could also unmute him.
I tried.
Go to the people window.
No, I can't unmute him. Madhu, are you? Madhu. Madhu, I think.
I'm calling him on the phone. 1 minute.
Madhu, you are in mute mode. You are in mute
I'll
mode.
call him on the phone.
He's using his phone, so I don't think he'll be able to.
Sunil sir, meanwhile, if you have a time, can I ask one question to Ninad?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I appreciate, sir. And sir, this is Anjani. My question to you is, how you see medical device manufacturing companies gonna respond to this pandemic?
एक मिनट जस्ट वन सेकंड एक क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है आई जस्ट डोंट जस्ट वन सेकंड एक तो अगर मैं अपना फोन को अपने स्पीकर से कनेक्ट
Just to give a quick response, there is going to be huge focus on health. So generally, there will be huge demand for medical devices. I don't know what particular medical device you're talking about, but the demand will be is bound to be big because people will look at medical health as the first priority.
हां मतलब बोलो जरा
Okay. So basically, I mean, I own a small company, technology based. We have built some solution to technology-based solution to support this medical device or equipment manufacturer company, especially these company. And we are about to launch our product. Do you see this is the right time to hit the market?
Yes, it is absolutely. Don't wait.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Best
it.
wishes.
Thank you so much.
तुम्हारा म्यूट नहीं हो पा रहा है ओके अच्छा ओके अच्छा चलो लेट मी सी
Looks like Madhu is
yeah hello
not
this
able
is
to. So Shiva, can you sum up?
this is
Shiva.
call Madhu cannot unmute his system for some reason I have tried to get him on the speaker through my system I'll ask him to make an announcement right now unfortunately he cannot unmute himself so I'll ask him Madhu
Shiva, can you do the thanks? Shiva,
Yes, I can, but
yeah, please go ahead.
I think Madhup is also talking. Nitin sir, it's
Leave
okay.
it. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. First off, Sunil, thank you for driving.
somebody who Shiva is doing something
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Shiva, you can switch on your video.
Yeah. I'll do that. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
just hold on who Shiva has somebody
Thank you, Sunil, for pulling all this together and getting us such a prestigious and insightful speaker like Ninad to address us today. Thanks to all the alumni who joined this program and have found it, I'm sure, a very steep learning curve and a learning experience. Thanks, of course, to Sridhar for doing a super job on the Q&A. And I've saved the thanks to Ninad for the last. Ninad, thank you so much. I am far away from the startup guys. I just retired last year in October. But I can tell you, I found your talk so insightful and so very useful. And it gives a very clear idea with whatever ambiguity is still there about what to expect going in the future. And as Sridhar also said, I'll reiterated that image of the ant is there. And the one word you said, resilience, it's really going to stick with us. And I'm sure, help us see through those times that we see going ahead. Thank you, everyone. It's been...
I'm back here.
Okay, go ahead, Madhu.
Yeah. So this was a very interesting session by Ninad, and he really took us into a insights into the brave new world as he's describing it.
Madhub, you are not clear.
I'm sorry, yeah. So he took us into the insights into the brave new world as he's describing it, and some very important points that he brought up. I hope these are lessons for the people who are either already entrepreneurs or planning to become a startup entrepreneur or a founder. I won't go through all those points which he has raised, although I have some notes because I found them educative for myself. But one or two things which came out very clearly is that there is an opportunity in every adversity. And he quoted the ex-British Prime Minister Churchill saying that never waste a good crisis. Now, this is something very important because every crisis is to be seen as an opportunity, and that is what brave people are supposed to be doing all the time. Another very important aspect which should be interesting to the students as well as new entrepreneurs is that the early stage investments aren't going down. Early stage investors are still interested in new ideas, new ventures, and therefore there is nothing to fear that the startup industry might be just collapsing or having a very bad time. Lastly, he brought up something very important, which is also should be very reassuring to the students and the entrepreneurs, is that value will attract valuations. So whatever you do, it must be of value to the consumer. If it is of value to the consumer, it will attract valuations. So I'm just listing only 3-4 things because there is no point in going through everything Ninad said. But this is all of these things were very important in themselves. So now I want to thank Sunil Khanna, Shiva, and Sridhar, and of course Ninad, who took us through this journey of a brave new world for startups. I also want to say that we had a good attendance of about 80 people plus, and so therefore thank you audience for participating in this.
And you can tell Ninad that a lot of IIT BHU students would be knocking on his door tomorrow.
Yes.
So Ninad, you
Yes.
have a lot of customers from IIT BHU.
Sure.
Ninad,
Thank
You
you
will
very much.
see.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
So demand for your bond to Baba will go up from tomorrow, you will see,
Thank you.
after listening to you. So with this, we come to the end of this webinar 3. Thank you, Ninad. Thank you, Shiva, Sridhar, Madhu, Nitin, and all the participants. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Nitin, thanks a lot for joining.